everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Tougies Take podcast. I had to start the show like that, Sin. I had to. We caught Endo totally off guard. What's Endo laughing about? For those of you watching on the video side of things, you might be asking. You'll never know. But hello, again, it's us, the guys, the fellas. That is the official tagline now of this show. It will be on a t-shirt one of these days, I do promise. It is Tougie, joined alongside Mr. Sin for the win, and a dying on the inside Endo Mills. Sin, how are you doing while we give Endo a chance to mentally recover?
Yeah, I'm not dying on the inside. I'm doing pretty good today. It's a brand new day.
It's a great day, dare I say. Endo, how are you?
I'm good. I can work now. Rinks are open in the city of Toronto and Ontario, so I have like 2 games lined up over the next 3 days. So I'm gonna be hella busy, which is great. Thank you.
Again, if you were in the greater Toronto area, contact Mr. Endo Mills if you need a
lesser Toronto goaltender.
Well, that's the name of the show.
You know what?
I've like literally never seen him play, and I just chirped him openly. Oh, what kind of friend am I?
Oh God, that was.
I got no comeback.
That could also be a shirt. It's just lesser Toronto goaltender. That was beautiful. What a way to start the show. God damn it. Everybody, of course, as always, right out of the gates here, we do want to mention that this show is brought to you by our friends at Manscaped. Make sure, of course, to visit manscaped.com and use code Tougie at checkout for 20% off your order and free worldwide shipping to get everything. Of course, you need that extra bit of motivation. There's that discount code. Go do what you have to do to take care of yourself. The pinnacle of male grooming, dare we say, with Manscaped. Make sure, again, code Tougie, 20% off. Take care of your balls, take care of you, you'll feel better about yourself, and hey, Valentine's Day is coming up. We're 13 days away. You want to make sure shit's in order. And then you might be saying to yourself, well, Tougie, doesn't matter for me. Treat yourself, though. It's Valentine's Day. Treat yourself. Manscaped. Shave your balls, whether or not anyone sees them or not. Make sure if someone does that it's consensual. Manscaped. And also, I got nowhere to go with this ad. Will this be the last Manscaped spot that we ever do? Potentially. I hope not, though. Of course, we also want to shout out our friends at Thrive Fantasy as well. Again, you can click the link in the description, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on any podcast apps. You can click the link to get a match up to your first $100 deposited at Thrive Fantasy, the #1 place for player prop bets. What's the over-under on, say, Claude Giroux scoring a goal tonight? Connor McDavid, will he get stopped? Probably not, but player prop bets are the best. Like, I don't tend to be a betting man all that much. I gotta be honest, the hooks are starting to get set in a little bit. It's just something about that prop bet of just being like, David Pastrnak, will he score a goal tonight? Yes, it almost brings me back, essentially, to like the NHL Hat Trick Challenge, which I loved doing back in the day. So it's just a beautiful thing. So again, a big shout out to our friends at Thrive Fantasy, as well as Manscaped, for the worst ad reads I have ever done on this show. But yet they stick with us, because they're beautiful, beautiful people. What a show. What a show so far. We could end it here, and it'd be one of my favorite shows ever.
Yeah.
But we won't end it here, because we have some stuff to talk about here in the world of hockey and the world of football as well. That's right, there's going to be another football segment. But before that, we wanted to get to some viewer questions. And the first comes from roster editing extraordinaire, one Mr. AJ Doulis. Look him up on the PS4 side of things in terms of custom rosters. He asks, what do the three of you want for your team's reverse retro jersey? What do you want it to be based off of, essentially? So, again, for those that missed it, they had the reverse retros last year. It looks like they're coming back next year. Buffalo already pretty much announcing that they're bringing back the goat head as an alternate, if not as a part of this reverse retro program. I feel like Endo's going to have the most difficult time answering this because similar to, like, the Detroit Red Wings, the Leafs haven't really done much with their jersey and don't really have too many options in which to go retro with their jersey. But Sin, I'm intrigued for you. I mean, and Endo, let me know if you have an answer here, if something that actually comes to mind. But Sin, what comes to mind for you when you think of like, oh, what's a Shark jersey that you would actually really either like to own or think that would look kind of sick on the ice?
Yeah, the problem with our reverse retro was that the gray base color was, in my opinion, absolutely awful.
Mm-hmm.
It could have been cool, and I guess maybe they're limited. But if there's less limitations here, I would like to see. I still obviously love that old logo, and it wouldn't necessarily be the reverse. I would like to see the alternate just be that old logo and kind of harken back to that with like the teal. I would like to see the reverse retro with the logo that we had prior to the one now, which was similar to it, but it had
the orangish one.
Yes.
Okay.
And I want to see an orange fucking jersey.
Ooh, kind of like the
I want to see
Barracuda.
orange. Yeah, but not pure orange like theirs ones.
Fair.
I want to see like
Okay.
an orange base color with black. Yeah, Philadelphia, but then also teal. Like obviously, it's not going to be just Philadelphia. No white in it whatsoever. Orange,
Interesting.
black, and teal. And I think that would look cool. Either they could throw in the old logo if they want, but even with the, I guess maybe it is still the same current logo that we were using back then. So, when we had those weird jerseys with the orange. But I know on the stealth jersey, it's slightly different now. They like darkened the nose of the shark or something.
Yeah, it is pretty close, but I think you're right that there are
Yeah.
like, some slight, subtle differences. How did you like those Sharks jerseys with the orange, by the way? Because it was an interesting look. I personally liked it, but I know a lot of people didn't.
I liked it. I liked the shoulder pad thingies. Like that was different. Like they kind of were doing something for a while, and they switched up, and it was good. I have the alternate one, the black one, and I gotta say I like it a bit more than the stealth, because the stealth is just too much of one color. Like, yeah, it's cool, but you can't see all the intricate different stuff on the jersey because it's from so far away. Like, you got to have actual color accents, which is what the old alternate did have. It's got like the elbow stripe, which was teal, and yeah, so I got the Pavelski jersey with that.
Endo, did anything come to mind for you with the reverse retro for the Toronto Maple Leafs?
The only design they haven't really done, honestly, is it was used for like maybe like a year or so. They replaced the blue on the logo, like where the word font on there is, and they made it red. That's the only change they've done, like in terms of
Yeah, they
that,
did do
besides
that,
the
didn't
actual
they?
Leaf design. Yeah, they had it done. I can pull a picture up right here, send you guys in the group chat.
I remember what it looks like. Yeah, I'm obviously, like, people know
Yeah.
jerseys behind me, of
It's just-
course. I'm a bit of a jersey nerd, so.
Yeah.
So, like, what would it be then in terms of the full
It
thing?
would just be a traditional, like, that's the one problem though, because like the Leaf like design has barely ever changed. Like, it's usually the jersey changes with the Leaf, not with the actual accents or where the sleeves are or anything like that. And so it's like, I guess it would just be that, like maybe have like no like armband on there, like on there. I don't know. It's hard to pick, and I just don't know.
Fair.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I knew it would be tough for you. That's why I let Sin go first, because that's a really tough one to answer.
Yeah. Either that, or it'd be like if they bring back Toronto Arenas, except it's just the T, and it's like the one arm on the cuff,
Not the
circle on the
Aretinas.
cuff on the bottom. Yeah,
I hated that
that was
logo so
terrible.
much.
Yeah,
Look, for a Bruins fan, we have very few options because, let's be honest, like they've touched up most of their older jerseys. Their reverse retro was kind of the playoff of what they had back in the 70s and the 80s. The 2019 Winter Classic, which I have over here somewhere. I won't, dig it off of the rack there, but it was based off like the old jerseys from the 20s with the stripes on the arms and everything. Let's be honest, there's really only one jersey that they haven't touched, and that's the Pooh Bear. They have not brought that jersey back since 2006 in any way, shape, or form. For me, I see a lot of the mock-ups with it being a white jersey. I personally wouldn't go that way. I would have it be kind of, like it's a primary yellow jersey as it was with like the black trim. I would just swap the black and the yellow personally instead of having it be a primary white jersey. I think that's a bit too much, but it's going to be the Pooh Bear. It is. We all know it. I would be shocked if it was anything else. There's just no way that it will be.
It's a dope jersey.
It is a great jersey. It's a great jersey design, but I understand people don't like it because the logo where the bear is just kind of like, like he's not intimidating. It's just this bear.
Although the vintage from 47 bear is the derpiest face on the planet.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Like he's just, it just looks like he's got his eyes like.
Yeah. Oh, we call it the meth bear.
Okay, yeah. Definitely.
So there's not too much else the Bruins can do with a lot of their throwback jerseys. They've
you guys in your original sixes not changing shit.
Yeah.
It's classic.
There's only so much you can do there.
No.
So.
At least the Bruins have kind of altered and gone with other logos from time to time. The Leafs had that weird thing where they tried to make the leaf look more realistic for a while, or whatever the hell that was. And
that veiny leaf.
Yeah.
You know what this leaf needs? Some strong veins.
It's a fucking vein.
Just these big throbbing
Women love a
veins.
vascular bad.
Jesus.
They love a
Throbbing
vascular
leaf.
bad.
Oh my God.
Because they couldn't play hard on the ice. They had to make their logo look hard.
There you go.
Christ.
God, shout out to the Leafs, who I do believe I saw. God, was it the Leafs or the Flyers that it's been? It was on Reddit today that it's been 20,000 days since one of them won the cup, and I'm pretty sure it's the Leafs. 20,000 days.
Gracious.
Just an absurd number, man. Like, absolutely absurd. I'm trying to track it down to find out for sure, but regardless, just. I don't know if you'll ever. Yeah, there we go. Toronto Maple Leafs. From Tuesday, May 2nd of 1967 to Tuesday, February 1st, 2022, 20,000 days have passed. Or 54 years and 9 months. Or 657 months. Jesus. Oh, poor Endo. Poor Endo.
I mean, he's only been alive for a portion
half of it,
so
not even.
and he's only been a fan for like another half of it. So
There you go. Fair enough. Yeah, no, you got a long way to go. Let's not talk about misery yet. You don't know misery yet. You don't have a clue.
I don't even know the company of misery.
God. Our second question comes from one Mr. Alex Daig. Not the actual guy, but it's okay. Why have the top... Okay, I'm just going to read it as he wrote it. Why do the top 5 out of 10 of the 2020 class seem to be slower getting up to speed than most, including others in their own draft? Were we just spoiled by Matthews and McDavid and Hughes? Or is there more to why a guy like Lafreniere with the Rangers can't get up to speed yet? So
That's a very apt name to ask this question, Alex Daigle. Lafreniere is a bust. Pretty fucking simple. Lafreniere is a bust, and the New York Rangers are going to die in a fire of their own doing as they fly too close to the sun, and their fans tempt fate. And the hockey gods was I don't know where that came from, but no, we expect too much too quick, a little bit. The Rangers have a kind of
inferiority complex?
No. I'm not even on that anymore. The Rangers have a propensity for rushing their young talent along, and we've seen that multiple times now. Kako, never seen it with Lafreniere. Yeah, there was the whole COVID thing where you couldn't necessarily send him anywhere. I don't know. Could they send him to Europe and play with men? I think that was all shut down too.
Yeah.
Who knows? But at the same breath, like, was he playing on the third line right now? Probably.
I can double check where Lafreniere is currently playing, and I can also give you his updated point total because we have talked about Lafreniere and Kako a lot this season. Lafreniere is currently on the top line with Mika Zibanejad and Chris Kreider. Don't know how long he's been there, but again, Zibanejad has 47 points in 46 games. Kreider has 44 in the same amount of games. Lafreniere has 12 points. 12.
Yeah, so I don't think he's been there that long. If he is, he's not making a fucking impact. So if he's been there that long, he's not making an impact. That's bad. If he's been on the third line, why do you have him in the NHL if you're going to play him on the third line?
The Rangers do not have scoring outside of their big 5 forwards.
Yeah.
They don't.
It's not good.
At least on Cap Friendly right now, looking at what they have here. Kako is currently injured, it says, with an upper body injury. 14 points on the season. Again, I already mentioned Lafreniere with 12. You have 10 points for Kevin Rooney And like those are the next three highest scorers outside of Zibanejad, Kreider, Panarin, Strome, and then Barclay Goodrow has 20 points.
Yes.
Like if it wasn't for their big four, like I was correct in my assessment that they do not have the depth scoring. They're able to overcome it by the fact that Igor Shesterkin has a .937 save percentage with a 21-5 record in 28 games.
So they're lunk-fisting themselves all over with slightly better scoring at times, but it's very contained to a few people. That's not necessarily a recipe for success. But back on the point, I think that people hype up young talent way too much, and then they expect too much out of them, especially the large markets like this. New York is a large market, and I mean, look what happened. I hate to bring it up, but it's I have to. It's a guy like Marner and Matthews probably making more than they should have. They kind of bullied their way to making the money because there was so much hype around them. The media was hyping them up. Agents were hyping them up. Media, writers were hyping them up. And how do you not like look at that and be like, okay, this is what I am now? Or if you're like Lafreniere, oh, this is what I have to be right now. This is what is expected of me. That's hard. That's really hard to come into as a situation as a young player. And I think that's kind of what we're seeing. So I don't know if it's necessarily that they're slower getting up to speed. It's that circumstances have presented themselves where, they've had to be put in these situations or, for one reason or another. And maybe they weren't quite ready. I still don't think Lafreniere's ready. I think he would have benefited a lot from development, as good as he looked at times. If you're playing him third line or if he's producing like a third liner, in my opinion, that's not a third line guy. You used the first overall pick on him. We sent Eklund back because we're not playing Eklund on the third line. That's not why you got him, right? So you don't want to, put him on the third line like that. So that's my 2 cents on it.
It's funny. I was looking at the 2020 draft that he mentioned specifically. Lafreniere's in the NHL. Byfield's in the NHL. Stützle's in the NHL. Lucas Raymond's doing phenomenally. Jake Sanderson's still in the NCAA. Drysdale's playing for the Ducks. Holtz has played for the Devils this year. Quinn's gotten games with the Sabres, or a game before he got hurt. Rossi's made his debut for the Wild. Perfetti's made his debut for the Jets. So, I mean, and you can't even say that no one in that top 10 has done spectacularly because Lucas Raymond is pretty much a dead set, locked in top 3 Calder finalist this season.
Yeah.
But to that point of Lafreniere, expectations are high. Like, you think back that 2019 draft, who was at the top? Jack Hughes. After that rookie season for Jack Hughes, there was a lot of people being like, I don't know if he's the guy. Like, he had 21 points in 61 games, and then last year only had 31 in 56. Like, people are absolutely already trying to label, like, okay, Jack Hughes wasn't worthy of the number 1 pick, or he's not going to be what was expected of a number 1 pick. Rasmus Dahlin in 2018. If he was outside of Buffalo, he'd be getting celebrated a lot more. Like, he's a stud, but people don't view him as a stud because he plays for Buffalo. 2017, Nico Hischier. I mean, we kind of knew already that draft wasn't maybe to the elite level, but Nico Hischier's still a really solid player. It's just the Devils haven't been a contender in this time. So, yes, with the number 1 overall pick, you expect everyone to be a McDavid or a Matthews. That's certainly not the case, but that's also how it's mentioned in the draft. Like, every year you'll have people be like, this draft isn't exactly, there isn't that upper echelon talent. So I don't know. I do think that, yes, people overhype the value of a number 1 pick on occasion, but at the same time, talking specifically about the 2020 draft or some of the most recent drafts, I think this is more common.
It's only been 2 years, too.
Yeah, this is typically what you see as opposed to, someone being an Austin Matthews and scoring 4 goals in his first game and still losing.
And, not celebrating on the 4th one. That was hilarious. It looked like he was like, this is fucking too easy.
Little
did he know.
So again, guys, thank you very much for the questions. We had to cut out a couple of them or move them into our football talk, which is coming up here in a second. But again, as always, Tougie24 on the Twitters, or you can join the Discord, and there's the podcast questions section to get those in whenever we ask for them, whenever we have a shortage of things to talk about, of course. But in talking about football, and we had to just make a full football segment because some of the questions were about football. There's a lot to talk about in the world of the NFL. The first thing comes from Canadian Eagles, and it's like the most recent breaking news of the bunch that we can't really comment on yet because it's so early. But Eagles asked thoughts on the Brian Flores lawsuit. Now, in case you two didn't see this,
I saw it.
Brian Flores, who was the head coach of the Miami Dolphins, formerly the defensive coordinator for the New England Patriots, he has filed a class action lawsuit against the league, against the Dolphins, the Denver Broncos, and the New York Giants, alleging they have engaged in racist and discriminatory practices against black coaches. Allegations in the suit include Dolphins owner Stephen Ross offering to pay Flores an extra $100,000 per loss during the 2019 season, and Ross trying to get him to recruit a, quote, prominent quarterback who was under contract to another team, violating tampering rules. 1,000% Deshaun Watson, by the way. The lawsuit also says the Giants scheduled a fake interview with Flores last week to comply with the Rooney Rule, and that Flores learned his interview was fake because former boss, Patriots coach Bill Belichick, mistakenly texted him a congratulatory message, thinking that the Giants were going to hire him. New York instead hired Brian Daboll. Flores also said the Broncos put him through a similar interview 3 years ago with no intention of hiring him. This has a long way to go. And by the way, the Rooney Rule is listed as this. It's a policy that requires league teams to interview ethnic minority candidates for head coaching and senior football operation jobs, is the way that rule is written. So there is a lot to come of this. Like, literally, this just broke within the past hour. So I can't really comment on the validity of it. The whole breakup, though, between the Dolphins and Brian Flores, we know a little bit about, and that's a whole wild situation. So, man, I don't know. But needless to say, the drama of it, and honestly, like, the validity of it might be there too. Like, we just got done in the past week, right, of having those discussions about the Jordan Subban, Jacob Panetta situation. And now you're having a coach flat out call out that, hey, there's discriminatory practices despite this rule. I don't doubt that there is. Like, that's the problem. I don't doubt, and you had someone like former NFL quarterback Robert Griffin III, RG3, mentioning that, yeah, he probably even if he's telling the truth, he probably just ruined his chances of ever coaching in the NFL again. That's probably also true. So that is just an entire mess that we don't simply know enough about yet. But sports. That's all I got. Sports. Oh, God. If you two have nothing else to add, I will mention, although, Sin, I don't know if you do or not. It's looking like it.
I thought Endo was going to chime in. He put on sunglasses. Or is that Easy-E? I can't tell.
This is so fucked.
Yeah.
Like the fact that you said it was Belichick who sent them a message as well.
He alleges that he got a text from Bill Belichick saying congratulations. So it's a good thing nothing else happened today involving Patriots adjacent to
nothing else happened to a legend of the Patriots organization. Nothing else happened.
Oh, God. So I want to mention this too, because in bringing up the Subban Panetta thing, that kind of took away our attention of being able to talk about the playoffs, right? Like, we had talked about the playoffs in the opening round, but we didn't get a chance to necessarily do that again because our focus was on certainly more important topics. So in talking about the playoffs, right? Because Hawks also asked, since the Super Bowl is in a few weeks, he asked this for Sid and I, because again, Endo, we know, isn't a big football fan, favorite Super Bowl moments of all time. But before we get to that, in terms of the playoffs and in terms of the choices, you had the Bengals beat the Titans. I would have said the Titans would have won that game. Sid, I don't know about you. If you can bring your mind back, would you have said the Bengals would have beaten the Titans?
When the hell was that?
That was the divisional round. That was.
I thought you were talking about a Super Bowl. I was like, what? I don't remember this.
No. See,
sorry,
I'm leading up to the Super Bowl talk.
When was?
But in terms of the Bengals beating the Titans, I would have said no.
That was this year, right?
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
the 22nd of January,
I
which
mean,
feels like forever ago.
hell.
And that was the same week that the Niners beat the Packers at Lambeau, which I wouldn't have said would happen.
No wonder I forgot.
The Rams beat the Bucks. I would have been wrong there too. I would have sided with Tom Brady and the Bucks. And then the Chiefs beat the Bills, which I would have said would have happened. Like, we didn't even get a chance to talk about like that ridiculous overtime and stuff like that, which is a shame. And then you had the championship, rounds, the conference championship rounds that just happened. The Bengals beat the Chiefs to go to the Super Bowl. Would not have said that at all. By the way, I thought losing a coin toss meant you automatically lost in overtime. What happened to that, Bills fans? I thought the Chiefs won. What happened? And then the Rams beat the Niners, which I probably would have said so. So all of that to say, like, hey, we missed some great football that we got to talk about. That Endo would have just been like, yep, I'm here for this. That's fine. It leads to the point where, again, before talking about our favorite Super Bowl moments, I want to get this documented right now before we forget that I would have been wrong the entire way. Maybe not quite Tim the Tatman levels of jinxing and being wrong about playoff predictions, but pretty goddamn close. So I'm afraid to say that I'm rooting for the Bengals in the Super Bowl. And if you lose, I am so sorry. Send your Super Bowl pick for this year.
Man. I want it to be the Bengals just because that's rad. Although Joe Burrow is super young, he's got time. But
Yeah.
it's the Rams?
Yeah.
Matt Stafford, like that's cool. Matt Stafford.
It is.
Like he probably fucking deserves it. But it's the Rams, and there's something about them I don't
It's Stan
like.
Kroenke. That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's the ownership group. They have one of the worst owners in the entire world of sport because it doesn't just cover the NFL. It covers the fact that he owns Arsenal in the Premier League.
Yeah.
Like, just a gigantic capitalist scumbag. Stan Kroenke completely fucked over the city of St. Louis. I'll be all right with whoever wins. I think it'd be cool as shit that Matt Stafford leaves the Detroit Lions and immediately wins the Super Bowl. That's cool as hell, man.
That would be.
But then, yeah, the Bengals, man. Joe Burrow, second year, fucking broke his leg last year because they didn't have an offensive line. And then what happens? They still don't improve the offensive line, but they get Jamar Chase at wide receiver as a safety blanket. Jamar Chase fucking has a dominant season after getting memed in the preseason. Sid, I don't know if you remember this, but in the preseason, Jamar Chase could not catch a football.
Oh,
and
yeah.
everyone's like, oh my God,
yeah.
they're boned.
Yeah, I saw.
And now they're going to the fucking Super Bowl? It's crazy. It's crazy. I am more excited for this Super Bowl than I have been for potentially any other Super Bowl that hasn't included the Patriots.
Yeah.
Maybe ever. Like, this should be great.
It should be.
Honestly, since the Steelers-Cardinals Super Bowl, because I was really rooting for Larry Fitzgerald and Kurt Warner to get a Super Bowl ring there. I'm excited for this. And it brings us back to that Hawks question. Favorite Super Bowl moments of all time. Hawks, I am a Patriots fan. What do you think, man?
All of them.
What do you think? The Seahawks Malcolm Butler pick, the comeback against the Falcons, not losing to the Giants twice, that didn't happen.
I like the helmet catch.
I fucking all right. Let's see who is on my friends. Let's see who wants to be on. I'm gonna go to my group message here that we have with all of our friends. So who wants to be on the podcast?
Oh man,
Son of a bitch! Like, that's the thing, right? Like, I honestly, like, as much as those Giants losses still hurt. Specifically 18-1. I'm sorry. You can sit there and say,
Yeah.
oh, you 6 other Super Bowls. I know! A perfect season. And it's gone.
Could that ever
and
have
it's
been
allowed
done?
this old fuck in Mercury Morris from the 72 Dolphins to continue every year to be like, we're the only undefeated team left. You played like 14 fucking games back then. Shut your face, old man. Nobody cares. Anyway, Patriots fan, a lot of great Super Bowl moments. Now, Sin, I know you are a Packers fan. Mm-hmm. It's got to be that one, right?
There's a couple. I mean, I did kind of remember Brett Favre winning the Super Bowl, so that was pretty cool.
Favre.
Brett Favre, you're a good guy. He had a great wedding too. And on it, yeah,
Here's the groom and
getting to see Aaron Rodgers win too, and because it's back in 2010 when he He wasn't dipping his toes into things he shouldn't, or had no fucking knowledge
Rodgers, PhD.
And honestly, here's the controversial one. I loved the 97, was it? When they lost to the Broncos, because it was John Elway, and I always loved John Elway. And I had a book by Matt Christopher, it's like a tiny little biography about John Elway that I read the shit out of, and like he was just so cool, like all the comeback stuff, and like he didn't really do jack squat in that game, it was mostly Terrell Davis, but he had that one play, John Elway, where he races down the field, he scrambles, and instead of sliding, the man dives like almost head first. He gets hit by 2 Packers and like does at least a 180, maybe a 360 in the air and lands. And I'm like, if it was me now watching that, it's like, yeah, that guy's not fucking losing. Are you kidding me? He just dove straight out. That they called it the helicopter hit. And he QB scrambled, he dove straight out, got hit by 2 guys and got his ass up and went back to the line. And yeah, John Elway was a beast. So that's definitely one. I guess from the more recent ones, it wasn't technically the Super Bowl. It was leading up to the Super Bowl. It was Richard Sherman just absolutely going off about Crabtree to Aaron.
Put a sorry ass receiver like Crabtree.
Yeah.
What you gonna get?
Don't ever talk about me. Who was talking about you? Crabtree. Just the best. And Niners fans absolutely hated him. They hated him. Then they got him one time. Then they loved him. It's like, of course,
oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, Richard Sherman was hilarious.
Shout out to the guy that, God, what Super Bowl was it? I think it was Seahawks and Broncos, where the Seahawks kicked the hell out of them.
Oh, yeah.
And then there was that guy that snuck into the press conference just to say 9/11 was an inside job.
What? Why don't I know? What?
It was in like 2014, yeah. What? Some guy snuck into the press conference and got to the podium and grabbed the mic and just went, 9/11's an inside job, and then he ran away.
They must have scrubbed that so quick from TV.
They tried, yeah. I'll never forget. God damn it. Because he didn't say specifically about, our teams. So, I mean, there are other, great kind of Super Bowl moments out there. There was the Ravens-Niners Super Bowl where the lights went out for half an hour.
And then, at
the Super
comeback started, and everyone's like, conspiracy, they shut off the lights to stop the momentum. Yeah, the Har Bowl.
Oh, my God.
They called it the Har Bowl or whatever.
God,
Beyonce took all the power. And she just took it out for that performance. That was a ridiculous performance.
Oh, my God. We got the funniest memes from that, too, because, people kept capturing her face at the weirdest times when she was doing her performance.
The one with her arms down.
She's got the weirdest face.
What's better, that or Shakira's fucking tongue from a...
I forgot about the tongue thing. What the hell? She sounded like the turkeys from South Park, man.
Was Lady Gaga before we got to the top of the when she did her performance at the top of the arena, and then me and my buddies were in the bar. We're like, man, what if she just fell off? And she falls off the frame, and we're just laughing.
Oh God!
Oh man!
What do you guys think, by the way? Super Bowl halftime shows, because you mentioned it, so let's talk about it real quick. This year, it's Dr. Dre, it's Snoop Dogg, Eminem, Mary J. Blige, and Kendrick Lamar.
Holy shit! I'm watching the shit out of that. Are you kidding me?
It's gonna be high as fuck in that thing. Holy shit!
I can't wait to watch that. I didn't really. I mean, I kind of watched the one last time. It didn't interest me.
What, with the Weeknd?
I don't like him. I don't like his music. I don't like his music.
He was.
I think it's funny as hell that he won a Kids' Choice Award for a song about cocaine, but
yeah.
Other than that, I don't really dig his songs.
I like The Weeknd quite a bit.
What do you mean your face is numb? You ever done coke?
No, it's cold out.
It's from the cold slime.
I hope the Super Bowl halftime show's good because sometimes they're hit or miss.
Yeah.
God, what was it, 3 years ago now? It was here's Maroon 5.
Yeah.
No thanks.
I wanted to get into that because I love Adam Levine, and then...
But then 2015, we had Katy Perry and Left Shark.
Oh, yeah, Left Shark.
Well, I always love looking at Katy Perry.
Fair enough. There have been some damn good Super Bowl halftime shows, like Bruno Mars, like 8 years ago. That was actually
with
the
Chili
same
Peppers,
Super Bowl,
right?
with
Or was that a different one? Yeah, that was so good.
Yeah, Chili Peppers were there too.
So good.
That was Bruno Mars halftime show, post game, 9/11's an inside job. Truther shows
that was
up.
that one. Oh, fuck.
What a Super Bowl!
That's terrific.
Everything but that game was great because it was a total blowout. God, but then it's like, dude, I'm looking at like 2011. You had the Black Eyed Peas with maybe the worst Super Bowl halftime show ever. Just oh my
Black
God.
Eyed Peas.
My favorite run though, 2007 was Prince in the Rain in Miami.
That was
Yeah.
good. Wasn't it Paul
Holy
McCartney
fuck.
after that? Or
Yeah, it was Paul McCartney 2 years before in
okay.
2005.
Shit,
I'm
I'm
looking at it. But like, okay, so literally like this run of Super Bowl halftime shows. 2004 was the Janet Jackson titty incident.
Yeah.
2005 was Paul McCartney.
For the team.
2006 was the Rolling Stones, which they're fine. I gotta be honest, they were never my favorite. But then 2007 was Prince, which was incredible. 2008 was Tom Petty, which was incredible. Fucking love me some Tom Petty. And then 2009, still maybe my favorite halftime show ever, was Bruce Springsteen during the. I think that was the. But dude, it was so good. That was the Steelers Cardinals Super Bowl. And like, but dude, it's like you had fucking Clarence Clemens on the sax, fucking rocking it. We miss you, big man. We miss you. I'm sorry, my dad was a big Springsteen fan, so it's ingrained. But
Yeah, bias.
shout out to the Super Bowl. Shout out to football.
shout out to America.
Shout out to American Dream.
America. Fuck yeah.
And to end our football talk, shout out to Tom Brady. It's true, everybody. A few days after it was probably spoiled and leaked
Now
a bit
that
too
we've
early.
said it on the show, it's true.
Yeah.
Tom Brady has retired after 22 goddamn years, man, and it's still just... I remember, obviously, because it wasn't that long ago, the day that it was announced he was leaving and going to the Bucks, and it hit like a ton of bricks, almost like he died. And today, it's just, it's almost the same, where it hasn't quite sunk in yet, like, holy shit. I'm looking at Tom Brady's Wikipedia page, and it says, is a former American football quarterback.
Yeah.
Like, I know that he's turning 45 in August, but my God. And I will bring it back to hockey in saying this, because I could sit here and wax poetic about Tom Brady for the next 6 days without stopping. We have mentioned on this podcast before in regards to hockey how lucky we are. Like, some people who listen to this might be old enough to remember, like, Gretzky, like, in his prime. Like, I can barely remember Wayne Gretzky playing.
Barely.
I can remember Mario Lemieux playing because of his comeback, but let's be honest, 2006 Mario Lemieux was not prime Lemieux.
Yeah.
We know this. But we have gotten to see Sidney Crosby. All three of us have basically gotten to see Sidney Crosby's entire career, Ovi's entire career. We're getting to see the first 6 years now or so of Connor McDavid's career and this next generation. We're going to be able to talk about that. You know, in terms of, you always see it now, people being like, I got to see these guys in the prime, and oh my God. Those are the guys we get to talk about. In a football sense, I get to say that I got to see Tom Brady's entire goddamn career.
Yeah.
And there will never be another quarterback. I cannot imagine another quarterback ever being as successful as Tom Brady. Because it's, as has been shown by the likes of Drew Brees in New Orleans, Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay, it is so difficult just to make it to a Super Bowl, let alone going 7-3. If I'm not mistaken, 7 wins, because he had the one with Tampa and then the 3 losses, both to the Giants and then the Eagles lost. 5-time fucking Super Bowl MVP. We're never going to see this again. Never. And God damn it, I am so fucking thankful
And
he played
along
for the
came
Patriots.
Patrick Mahomes.
Dude, they're the second, like, heading into this, here's the next dynasty, and then they lose to the fucking Bengals.
Hey, listen.
I was disappointed. I really like Mahomes, and I wanted to see him
I do too.
work. Like, he's a cool guy, and I feel I feel bad every time I see him on one of his brother's TikToks by not me looking for it. Someone posts it somewhere and I have to see it and he's just dead inside.
Listen, Joe Burrow is the future. You know why
I am so frustrated, though, because now, here's the good thing. Tom Brady's the gold standard. The problem is, any great young quarterback like Patrick Mahomes immediately gets compared to Tom Brady for the rest of his career.
Yeah.
And that's unfair to Patrick Mahomes. He might not be Tom Brady. He might have already won the only Super Bowl he ever wins. He's still a great fucking quarterback.
Yeah.
But that's how sports work. LeBron James, Michael Jordan, fucking Messi and Ronaldo to fucking Pele and company. Like, it's just how sports work. So, I mean, we'll see you in, I think it's 2027, Hall of Fame for Tom Brady. And Ben Roethlisberger might be there too. Nobody gives a shit anymore. Sorry, Ben, there goes your spotlight for all of 30 seconds. You said you wanted to go be a family man. Enjoy it. Tom Brady, the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
Goddamn. So, with that, shall we talk about hockey on this? I mean, we say it's a hockey podcast, but at the same time,
Sports podcast.
It's a sports podcast. It definitely is. So, what we wanted to do, since we didn't have too much to really talk about today, and then that said, we're like 40 minutes into the show already, we wanted to give you guys, we haven't been able to do this for a bit because, again, things have been busy. We wanted to give you our updated awards predictions. It is the first of a new month. And then we're also going to talk about kind of the standings a little bit and what the playoffs would be if the season were to essentially end today. So in terms of the awards, I want to start off with the Art Ross Trophy because I think this is a really interesting one. Again, Art Ross, again, goes to the leading point getter in the NHL. And right now, looking at point per game, you have Leon Draisaitl at just about a point and a half, 61 points in 41 games. Connor McDavid, just about at a point and a half per game, 59 points in 40 games. And then Nazem Kadri, point and a half pace, 59 points in 40 games. But the outright leader in points as of this day is Florida's Jonathan Huberdeau, who has 63 points but in 46 games.
That's crazy.
And then Alex Ovechkin rounds out the top five with 58 points as well. So out of those five, like those seem to be the likely five. Granted, Ovi's point per game pace is lower than the likes of Rantanen or Kaprizov, and Rantanen could be a good shout too. Sin, who is your pick? Who do you think will finish this season with the most points now that we're here on February 1st?
I want to say Huberdeau because he's on the better team and they're scoring like crazy, but they also score all the way up and down their lineup. Which also it's like, can he maintain that? I want to say him because I want something different. Odds are it's probably going to be McDavid or Draisaitl just because they have to carry that goddamn team on their back. They just picked up a guy who can, put pucks in the net, amongst other things. Amongst other things, and yeah, but I would love it to be Huberdeau. But Florida's way too balanced of a team, I think, for him to do that. I would love to be proven wrong, and I'd love for them to just dominate everyone. I'd love to see him win the cup because, please let me just witness Jumbo lifting the cup over his head once.
Endo Mills, your choice for the Art Ross winner at this stage of the season.
I think, right now Huberdeau's got it. Like I didn't really think of Huberdeau at all the rest of the season. I just kind of like swept under the rug. I swept him under the rug and mostly Florida, but Florida's doing well. I think it could be Jonathan Huberdeau or even Connor McDavid could go on a big rip if the Oilers figure out their thing right now. But I think it's either going to be Huberdeau or it's going to be McDavid.
For me, I'd love to say Nazem Kadri because how cool would that be?
That'd be hilarious, and the league would have to present him with an award.
Yeah.
I look at Rantanen.
What if he tied with someone and then they didn't give it to him? They didn't even double up on the award.
Wow.
They're like, there's some mysterious tiebreaker.
Suspensions per game. Yeah.
God, I look like Draisaitl's playing with Puljujarvi and Fogle. McDavid's now playing with Yamamoto and Evander Kane. So I'd probably side with McDavid in that instance. At the same time, I look at Colorado and I look at Mikko Rantanen, who's apparently centering a line right now with Landeskog and the Chushkin because of the McKinnon injury.
Oh, right.
I'm going to go with fun. Nazem Kadri. Let's do it. Nazem Kadri for Art Ross. Who says no? Leafs fans don't count. The Hart Trophy for the most valuable player to their team, Connor McDavid. That team without Connor McDavid is in Arizona territory. Period. Maybe a little bit better because of Draisaitl. Connor McDavid. Although I do want to shout out, because we talked about him a little bit earlier.
Oh, you're going to take mine.
Igor Shesterkin.
You son of a bitch. You're going to take mine. You took mine. You don't get two, you motherfucker.
I was going to go with McDavid, but then we talked about him. If the Rangers make the playoffs, and I get that's not what it's based on, but let's be honest, on the Hart Trophy, every time it's based off of that. If the Rangers make the playoffs, Igor Shesterkin wins the Hart. Endo, your choice for the Hart Trophy.
UC Saros. The reason why
Interesting.
Yeah.
Actually, that's a
Short-
good. Yeah, that's a good.
Yeah.
That's a good pick.
Short king. Mostly because I relate in style of play and because I'm also short. No, but seriously, he's done unreal things with that team. Not only just this season, but like last season as well. And I feel like he's definitely earning his comeuppance as a starter, an undersized starter too, which is a abnormality in the league. And I believe that anything he's been like faced up against so far is able to tackle, if not better than anybody else in that roster can. He's basically carrying that team. I wouldn't say carrying that team. I would say he is there when he needs to be, and he has been the guy. He's still like top 3 goaltender in the league for sure right now because of how his performance is, how consistent he's been in the past few years.
He is 3rd in the league in save percentage right now, behind Anderson and Shesterkin. So, Sin, I stole your choice. I'm presuming.
I was just about. I was just gonna look up Nashville's record last year. They missed the playoffs, right? What were they, sub 500?
I can look.
And
that
was
up
Sarah
really
starting
quickly.
last season? Can't remember actually. But yeah, I think it's.
I was gonna say I don't know how much time he split with Rene last year. I can look that up too really quickly.
Yeah, because that's interesting. I like Endo's point that he's making right there, because that's another one. It's kind of a sleeper pick. Like everyone's, Shesterkin, but then UC Saros
He
is.
qualified last year. Remember, it was
they
a weird
lost
year.
to-
Oh, the bubble thing.
They lost to Carolina in the first round last year.
Was that bubble? That was the
And-
bubble, right?
The
Yeah,
bubble, yeah.
okay.
And in
Then-
terms of the stats, I'm going to have to try to dig a little bit deeper to find that. But he did lead the team in wins over Pekka Rinne, I do believe. So
I think he's a good shout. Fuck.
Me
yeah,
too.
it's
Nashville's 2nd in the Central right now. I think that's a real good shout.
I know my
So
goalies.
Shesterkin's your guy, I think. I just completely stole your thunder, huh?
yeah. I mean, he was gonna be my guy because he's like leading. But yeah, it's probably for me. It's the same thing. It's between him and McDavid because, like you said, without McDavid, the Oilers are literally nothing. I mean, yes, there's Draisaitl and they work great together, but they're also, they center their own lines and at times and whatnot. And yeah, for one guy, I don't know. I'm trying to think of another like an outlier pick of someone, but I don't think there's just anyone really out there who has that much of an impact as Shesterkin does in goal, or McDavid does just as a dominant beast.
Now, for the Vezina, are we sticking with Shesterkin and then Endo with Saros? I'd imagine so. It would make sense.
Yeah, I mean that would make they're 2 of the top 3. So,
Yeah.
I think here's the thing. I think Freddie Anderson's numbers, while like all are obviously great, he's also the beneficiary of a great team. I don't think he's going to be considered as heavily as a couple of the others.
He is on a better team than Saros is in Nashville or McDavid is in Edmonton.
Yeah,
And I think that will hurt him.
I thought we were
in
talking
the
about Vezina, though.
conversation. Sure. I mean, just for Vezina's sake. I mean, even the Rangers, as opposed to the Oilers. He's on a better team.
Yeah,
The Hurricanes
that
are
was my
100%
point. Like,
better
so
team. Yeah.
yeah, so like his numbers are a little bit inflated due to that. So
Yeah,
yeah, it's probably
good question.
between Shesterkin and Saros.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. Quick question: has a goalie ever won both the Hart and the Vezina at the same season?
That's a very... Has a goalie ever won the Hart and the Vezina in the same season? We shall defer to our best friend Google. Carey Price became the 4th goalie ever to win the Hart and the Vezina in 2014-15. Joins Jacques Plante, 61-62, Jose Theodore, 01-02, and Dominic Hasek, who did it twice between 96-97 and then 97-98.
I don't remember Carey Price ever having a year good enough to win those.
Well, I do. Well, I do.
You did see him more over there.
Yeah. At the same time, it's almost like, since when do goalies ever get that level of respect?
Yeah,
So
that's right.
He's a top 5 pick.
Some respect in that.
That's almost where I'm at on that. The Calder. Let's be honest. It is still very much likely between 3 different players. And really, it might be down to 2. Zegras, Moritz Seider, or Lucas Raymond are likely the guys. In goal, I don't know if Alex... You could honestly argue Alex Nedeljkovic. Like, his numbers aren't the most impressive, but he is on a bad Red Wings team. In terms of skaters, I mean, it really does already seem to be down towards the argument of Zegras versus Seider. There was that moment as well, the Ducks and Red Wings just played, where Zegras kind of dangled around him and Seider made up for it and kind of took it away. Raymond right now, 35 points in 46 games. Zegras 32 and 42, so they're on the exact same point pace. Then there's Anton Lundell for the Florida Panthers, 32 points in 42 games, also on the exact same point pace as Raymond and Zegras. He also was just named Rookie of the Month for January. He had 17 points in 15 games. So if you weren't aware that Anton Lundell's been that good and is in the conversation, become aware, because he is absolutely legit. I think what was viewed as maybe a 3-horse race with Zegras, Raymond, and Seider has become a 4-horse race. I think Lundell is very much in that conversation. He's also probably the best defensive forward out of that trio. I still have to side with Moritz Seider because defensemen never get their just due. So Seider is still my pick. If I had to go with a forward, I might go with Zegras over Lundell just because I think Lundell has a better supporting cast. But regardless, Seider's my pick.
I do like the idea of Seider, but I'm all in on Trevor Zegras in like every way, shape, or form. I'm so hyped up about that kid and what he means for the league, not just as a player, but what he brings to the table from a marketing standpoint and from a character standpoint. I hope like hell this league doesn't suck that out of him.
They'll try.
Yeah, I know, and that's what scares me because he's so fucking cool. Like, and the swagger. It's not just this thing he does. He does it on the ice. He's got it in real life, and it's not forced. It's him. Like that. I feel like that's his authentic self, and that's what's awesome. And we need more of that.
Well, John Tortorella gets his way.
Jesus Christ.
We'll find out. All right, for those of you on the video side of things, enjoy that lovely jump cut. And for those of you listening on the audio side of things, enjoy that lovely jump cut. Shout out to Sin, who dropped from the call. But we're okay now. We're good. It just takes away from Endo's word count for this version of the podcast. But Endo, I think we had your official choice for the Vezina, that being Trevor Zegras, or for the Vezina, for the Calder. Jesus, yeah, give Trevor Zegras the Vezina too. Why not? Strap the pads on him. For the Norris Trophy, top defenseman in the league. I feel like, as per usual, this is the most difficult one to judge because it always seems to be off of points, which, again, I am very much in favor of the argument of you should have an award for the top. Like, we have an award for forwards, best defensive, but also best offensive, but we don't have it for defensemen. And that pisses me off to no end. It's completely illogical, but it's also the NHL. Right now, in terms of the points race, if we look at point per game, it's Cale Makar with a 1.13 point per game mark. Then Adam Fox at a 107. And there's only 3 other defensemen that are over a point per game. That's Yossi Hedman and Devon Taves. Why is Devon Taves so good on your rosters, dude? Devon Taves is one of the best, most complete defensemen in the NHL. End of. But I get he doesn't have that name value that the others do. So if we use those top 5 as kind of the litmus test to say, okay, here are the guys putting up points, but also who's the most well-rounded, who impacts their team. Again, I think you're down to Makar, Fox, Yossi, Hedman, and Taves. And shout out to Roman Yossi, by the way, who was named as the replacement for Nathan McKinnon at the All-Star game. He very much deserves it. Roman Yossi is incredible, as the stats tell you here. Sin, do you have a choice for Norris? Because I think this is one of the most, if not the most difficult one to name.
It's Makar. It's honestly he's better defensively than he gets credit for. I don't think he's on the level of Fox, but I think he could get there. The way he's able to skate, man, like that opens up so many avenues to do things, and it's not just on the offensive side of things. You harken back to that one hit he laid where he did it out of nowhere. He skated back. I'm going to change direction. I'm going to lay this guy out as he tries to exit. He like Cronwalled someone in the most beautiful way possible.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and I'm not saying, oh, that's defense is just laying the body, or else, Seth Jones is an elite defenseman. Darnell Nurse.
Fair enough.
It's all we haven't necessarily seen a defenseman like him in a long, long time. And I do think he has those sides of the game that we see all the highlights of him doing the offensive stuff, but I think there's more to him than that. And I've seen it when he played like the Sharks and stuff. Erik
Karlsson in his prime, I think, is the last time, and that was 5 years ago or so.
And Makar has other sides to his game than Karlsson did, and that's what's crazy.
And that's what I'm thinking. Like the last time there was like this hype level around a defenseman like this, I think, was Erik Karlsson. And you could argue again that Makar does certain things already that might put him even above that level of Karlsson chipping it up against the Bruins in the playoffs, like level of hype.
Karlsson laid a big body like once on the Sharks and got suspended for 2 games. That was a joke, by the way. I mean, I understand maybe a blindside, but there's no fucking head contact. Ugh.
For me, it's really tough because I think all 5 of these guys could win, and I would be okay with it. However, Yossi has a Norris from 2020, so I'm glad he got that.
Yeah.
Adam Fox, I believe, won it last year. Hedman has to have one. So for me, it comes down to Makar and Taves. The takeaway from Devon Taves that people will have is that he plays on a pairing with Cale Makar, so maybe that's where the majority of his points come from. At the same time, you can say that having someone so defensively responsible like Devon Taves allows Cale Makar to excel. I do think, in a way, that Devon Taves could be the straw that stirs the drink, that allows Cale Makar to be, in part, what he is. I as well have to go with Cale Makar, but my God, don't I want to go with Devon Taves just to be contrarian?
Yeah, but I liked what you brought up, and that's such an underappreciated thing, is the guy who allows those guys to do what they do, and he's still putting up points. Like at the same time, as you mentioned, he's still doing a lot on his own. That's what Ferraro was to Makar when they played together in college. Ferraro was kind of that guy next to Makar. Obviously, I'm not saying he's on the level of Devon Taves or anything like that, but, it's those guys go kind of unsung and they go kind of unnoticed at times, and they turn out to be amazing, like really, really freaking good players.
Yeah. And No Mills, your choice for top defender with the Norris Trophy.
I think I'm going to go Cale Makar as well. Just the way he moves out there and his productivity, both offensively and defensively, it's something to marvel at. And I'm a big advocate for, obviously, like the 2-way defensemen or like the offensive defensemen who are able to just jump into the rush, be the extra winger. It definitely, if he's not going to get it this year, then he's probably going to get it. Hopefully he gets it next year with the same performance that he does this year as well.
Ted Lindsay Award for Most Outstanding Player, Connor McDavid. Is that unanimous?
Pretty much. I mean...
All right, so Sin's second bout of audio issues out of the way. Again, Ted Lindsay Award, probably Connor McDavid. We'll keep it simple there. The Jack Adams for top coach in the league. Now, do you go with, oh, we didn't expect you to be this good? Or do you go with who has actually been the best coach? It's always tough. And then it kind of lines up with the Jim Gregory GM of the Year award as well, and how people want to view it. And it really does just depend on, again, do you view it as, okay, well, these are the top teams? Like, you could argue the Colorado Avalanche right now deserve to have both Joe Sakic and Jared Bednar walk away with these awards, and easy does it, you know? Like, that's perfectly fine. At the same time, you can look at playoff teams like the New York Rangers, who, again, I think are overperforming thanks to an incredible goaltender. You can look at the Nashville Predators, who have had a stunningly good season. The Anaheim Ducks or the LA Kings, who are both in a playoff spot right now. How do you guys view this? Because for me, for the sake of simplicity, I am just genuinely going to side with Bednar and Sakic in Colorado.
I like Rod Brindamore for coach. I do. I think there's great players on that team. Is there a bona fide high-level superstar?
Man, it depends on how you feel about Sebastian Aho, I suppose.
Yeah.
I would call Aho a superstar,
I would
but
too,
no, he doesn't.
But he
have the
doesn't
name.
get the recognition. I think
No,
that's
he gets less
partially due to the market, but also that's a team that's not gonna lie, it is well built, but I think it's exceptionally well coached. And Brindamore, they play like Brindamore played. They're gritty. They defend extremely well. They focus on the details, and I don't know if they've got bodies like him, but you know.
I don't think anybody has. Rod Brindamore probably still has the best physique in the NHL, player or coach.
Maybe Vince McMahon.
Oh my god. When you said that, the first thing I thought of was Vince McMahon running into the ring, tearing both ACLs and MCLs in his knees, and still
No,
chirping it
it
out.
was his quads.
It's his
That's the
quads?
worst part.
Oh,
How
what
did he do
happened?
that?
So this is, okay, here's the wrestling fan nerd in me coming out, but it's perfectly fine. I also want to shout out a great channel, Wrestling with Regret, for those wrestling fans out there. Brian Zane actually just did a little recap of the 05 Rumble, so this is fresh in the memory, so thank you. So 05 Royal Rumble, Final 2, John Cena and Dave Batista. And what happens? They accidentally both touch the floor at the same time to get eliminated. Now, in the past, they had done this in 1994 with Bret Hart and Lex Luger, except it was intentional. They were both supposed to hit the floor at the same time for controversy. In this instance, they weren't, but they did. It looked totally like the plan. So Vince McMahon comes storming out. He goes to slide headfirst into the ring under the bottom rope and slams his legs against the hard steel ring structure, against the apron. He tries to stand up. One of his quads blows. So he's stuck sitting in the ring, yelling instructions like a madman. Like a madman. I was like, why the hell can't he stand up? So they elect to restart the match, as was planned. Batista goes on to win, by the way. Goes on to win the title at WrestleMania 21 against Triple H. It was great. And then had 2 more matches against Triple H. One in Backlash and one in Hell in a Cell at Vengeance. That was a great match. You should go watch it. Or don't, because the WWE is fucking terrible. But at the same time, so what happens once Vince McMahon's like, okay, we're restarting the match. He gets out of the ring, tries to walk to the back on one torn quad, and the other one goes as he's walking to the back. And he has to, because he's such a son of a bitch, he walks off camera to the back with both quads shot. But he could not let the people know that he was hurt. That is the story of how Vince McMahon tore both of his quads at essentially the same time.
So in the context, was he like yelling instructions at people? It's part of the act, but also he had to be serious at the same time because they didn't probably know what to do.
Yeah, so it wasn't on the microphones or anything. Like, he was sitting in the ring.
Yeah.
You could tell he was yelling, and like he was saying, hey, we're going to restart this. But at the same time, he's also putting on the act while having to be in incredible pain as his quad just exploded. And then he goes to walk away to the back, and the other one explodes.
How does that even happen?
I don't know.
It's Vince McMahon. Did you see him like that one time he fought in like WWE or was WWF?
No, he had plenty of matches.
He was roided and shit. Like, dude came out like fucking like juice. Like,
his first ever match was on an episode of Raw in '98, must have been April, against Stone Cold. And it's the first time he walks to the ring without a suit on. and he is just fucking juiced to the gills. Yoked. You can see the testosterone just sweating out of his body. Holy shit. And then he had other matches, too, where he did some crazy shit.
Now, isn't he the dad of Triple H, or do I have that wrong?
A father-in-law.
In-law.
Triple H married into the family.
Oh, who the hell is his
son?
daughter?
Shane McMahon.
Yeah.
Oh, and Stephanie McMahon was his daughter.
Yeah.
If there's
Okay.
one thing, though,
We'll fill you in on the wrestling history.
I'm sure. Anyway.
If there's one thing, though, I will commend Vince McMahon for, out of any of this stuff, it's not crazy, is that he will not make a performer do any stunt that he would not do himself.
That's true.
That is very commendable.
That's even recent. I saw a clip, even though I don't watch the WWE anymore, because again, I think they're terrible. And honestly, if you Google Vince McMahon, one of the first pictures that comes up is him with this gigantic chain around his neck at like age 72, and he's still just fucking yoked. He's 76 now, which means around the time he was 74 or 75, it was their first like WrestleMania under COVID, and the idea was that they had Rob Gronkowski there, and he was going to jump off of this elevated platform onto a group of guys that would catch him. And Rob Gronkowski's like, man, I don't know, that sounds dangerous. So Vince McMahon at age 74 or 75 jumps off this 15 to 20 foot platform and gets caught by a bunch of people. So Endo is correct.
Holy shit.
Jump off for you. Look, Gronk, not
He's
bad.
one of the most, like, there's so much about him where it's like you want to respect it, but at the same time, there's a lot that makes you just be like, oh, what a piece of shit. So,
Yeah. One of those
Coaches.
polarizing figures. Yeah, how do you get
Here's
there?
the thing about Rod Brindamore. While we were having that conversation, I was looking at the list of coaches in the NHL and saying, if I didn't have Bruce Cassidy, or if I could have any coach be the head coach of the Bruins, who would I want it to be? Rod Brindamore might be at the top of that list. Like, man, Jared Bednar is a great coach for the Avs. I can't deny that. But at the same time, like, obviously, like, Barry Trotz is out there. I mean, I look at that list. Aside from Bruce, there it is. I look at that list, man. I honestly, I think you changed my mind. That like, if I could have any coach, it would be Rod Brindamore, and I think that's how I want to view that award. So, Endo, your coach of the year so far.
I was gonna say Bruce.
Sheldon Keefe, baby, fuck!
Came out of nowhere. I came out of fucking nowhere. Jesus Christ. I was going to say for the meme, it was going to be Bruce Bruchopper going 12-4.
There you go.
What, 12-4-0 right now?
With the Canucks, yeah.
With the Canucks. That's commendable. But I don't know who I would go for, like, in all honesty. I don't really pay attention to coaches and coaches-related stuff as much as I probably should, considering I'm on a podcast. But I don't know who I could go for. Am I going to be a homer and say Sheldon Keefe just because Sheldon Keefe? I mean, like, he hasn't really done a good job with managing this team with having them lead, like, leads and stuff like that. Because clearly, like, it's every time at the press conference, he just goes and says, well, like, we had a game and, like, it didn't go that well. Or, like, we every time we, like, blow a lead, it's like, yeah, we just need to get better. It's like, you can say as many words as you can, but nothing's happening. Like,
here's an easy way you could approach it. What team do you think out there isn't a great team on its own that could be just having a really good system and finding success? Like the Islanders were prior to shitting the bed this year.
Right.
Minnesota comes to mind for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I can't give head coach of the year to Andy Brunette in Florida because that team was great before they fired Quenneville and it's great afterwards.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who their coach is; they're on fucking autopilot because Zito is my GM of the year award winner for the Panthers because I still think he. The
Sam Bennett trade is so big.
The Sam Bennett trade, like he's incredible.
Yeah, that's hard to argue with. I want to say, I know it's just of the year, so it should probably go to him. I want to say either the Ducks or LA, as hard as it is, because they've done a really, really, really good job of rebuilding. Exceptionally well.
Yeah, it really is tough with GM of the year, right? Because it's of the year, but then it's also, it kind of feels like a legacy award where it's like, oh, well, who's done what? Because obviously it's like, okay, what additions or subtractions have you made to your team? Like Bill Armstrong for the Coyotes has a legitimate argument for GM of the year because he has continued to tear that team down into like full scorched earth rebuild to where they have 3 first-rounders and 5 second-rounders, and they're not even done.
Yeah.
So those awards in particular are tough. The final award that we did have was top goal scorer, which is interesting because you mentioned a certain Mr. Chris Kreider earlier, who is currently tied with Leon Draisaitl, both at 31 goals. Ovi's at 29. Austin Matthews at 28. By the way, Matthews has 21 goals in his last 21 games and recently hit the 400-point mark, which is absurd.
I say he.
And then you have the likes of DeBrincat on 26, Terry on 25. So, boys, right now, if you had to say who is going to finish with the most goals, who's it going to be?
God damn.
Mm-hmm.
It's honestly, I think it might be Kreider. As crazy as
it is,
he
for the
hasn't
memes.
fucking stopped. He simply hasn't. I think Ovi will slow down a bit because he'll want to prepare for the playoffs, and that will mean maybe taking it a bit easy, maybe even some more maintenance days here and there. He is, 35? 36.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, so it could be. I mean, here's the thing about Draisaitl. Obviously, Draisaitl's going to dominate, but also they now have another goal scorer. So is it going to be necessary for him to keep putting up those goals? Will he? I don't know. I just want to say Kreider. That's what my gut's telling me, and it's like we've been saying, okay, New York, that this goal differential is going to come back to haunt them. It hasn't. Kreider, he's going to slow down. He hasn't. Maybe it's just something. Maybe this is Danny Heatley, and he's just going to get 50 and 07.
My vote is for Austin Matthews. I think at this point he is still the best natural goal scorer in the league, with Ovi's kind of declining a little bit to where he was. You could even say at his peak as if he's even declined. But Austin Matthews is just, he's the guy. You know, like you have that Draisaitl comparison about the other people around. Not that there aren't people on the Leafs who can't score, but Matthews is the guy.
Yeah, you're right.
And I do think, I mean, he's 3 goals behind Kreider, and he's played 8 less games.
Oh shit! I didn't realize that.
Yeah. You put that into account. Yeah, definitely.
Oh shit! Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. I don't blame you for making that selection. That's the smart selection.
Mm-hmm.
Damn, he really came out. Yeah, he was slow coming out of the gates.
Yeah.
I didn't realize he'd been doing that good. There you go.
Yeah, it's common for Leaf players to just kind of slow down out of nowhere and then just pick it up right after. Like Mitch Marner is getting back on the board now. And I would say for my pick would either be Chris Kreider or it would be Austin Matthews. Chris Kreider is an absolute power play machine. 15 out of his, 31 goals have been in the power
31.
play.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a
31
lot.
goals been in the power play. Yeah.
It's more than half, dude.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
And people give McDavid and Draisaitl shit. What the hell?
Well, I mean, Dry has the most game-winning goals with 8 of the league, and Troy Terry's there was 7. But I think it's going to be either Austin or Chris Kreider. If Kreider slows down a little bit, even just a little bit, he's going to get passed by everyone else. But I think it's going to be Austin getting it for sure.
The final thing that we wanted to talk about today was kind of mixing in some of the playoff talk that we have. Again, looking at the standings at the beginning of the month, and we might go through this relatively quickly. We'll see. Time-wise today, we'll see what happens. In the Eastern Conference, if the season were to end today, granted, not everyone's played the same amount of games, so we're going off of point percentage. And initially, I had seen this on Reddit where someone did it. Okay, now that everyone's played 40 games. But right now, if the season were to end today, the Carolina Hurricanes would play the Boston Bruins in the playoffs. I'd love to say the Bruins would win that because they've had Carolina's number. I honestly think Carolina would win that matchup.
Yeah, you don't have the depth.
That's it. Like, that's the problem.
I'm just gonna say
let's
that.
be honest too.
7-game
Like
series,
Carolina being able to bring in some, being able to bring in D'Angelo for the most part. He has done the shut up and dribble thing. Which, hey, except for him being like, I don't like how the Rangers did that. It's like, nobody gives a fuck about your opinions, Tony. Sorry. Just, you're a dickhead. It's not so much what your political viewpoints are. You're a dickhead.
Yeah.
But good for you. You're still good at hockey. Well, imagine that. You get chances because you're good at hockey. Carolina would win that, though. I don't think there's any disagreement there from the three of us.
No. It's hard to see them losing in the first round. Though it has been done by really good teams. Sharks.
Leafs.
Yeah, well, see, I was tripping my own team right there.
I know.
Endo's suffered enough.
It's true. The New York Rangers would play the Pittsburgh Penguins in a series that I desperately want to see. because it's almost like the battle of like, okay, who isn't legit?
Yes, yeah.
Like, would the Rangers' lack of depth come back to haunt them? Like, how many injuries would the Penguins have? Because they always have, like, half their team out, like, at all times. But Tristan Jarry's been great this year, too. I would have to side with the... I'd have to side with the Rangers, because I do think Shesterkin...
Yeah, Shesterkin would carry. Yeah,
I trust...
Yeah.
It comes down to goaltending for me, and I trust Shesterkin more than I trust... Tristan Jarry for the Penguins.
Okay, I would go with the Penguins because I trust in Sidney Crosby.
That was why I was so...
As much as I hate to say it, but here's the thing: like and this kind of harkens back a little bit to the Tom Brady thing. I spent a lot of time trying to hate these players because they're so good, and they would, screw things up. Like for a while, there's the Crosby stuff. Didn't want to like him because of that. Then I started to grow on me, and then he broke my heart in 2016, and I was a little sour on him for a while. Tom Brady, it's because he's Tom Brady, and he seemed to just, But at the end of the day, dude, like, you have to, in my opinion, respect him, and you got to kind of put all that your own personal crap aside. And like, dude, Crosby's he's still really good. And I think he's at his most dangerous now that people aren't paying attention to him as much.
That's fair. Endo, Rangers, Penguins. Who do you got?
I'm gonna go Penguins. I don't know. I feel like Pens have got it.
They got
I just
Tristan
don't
Jarry too, baby.
Yeah, it's gonna be a redemption for Jarry for sure after glove hand malfunctions over the his playoff experience.
Just stay in your net, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah. Just keep it simple. Kiss. Keep it simple, stupid.
Now, before we mention what this other matchup would be, I want to shout out the Capitals announced today, and of course, February 1st, it is Black History Month.
Yeah.
They announced today a permanent Black hockey history display will be put up at Capital One Arena, devoted to the organization's Black history and players, of course, and they have some great moments. I mean, Jesus, Joel Ward, like even in recent memory, like Joel Ward was so good for them. Devontae Smith-Pelly is forever a Caps legend. Like, shows up, dominates in the playoffs, goes back to the KHL essentially. Like, honestly, just bravo to the Caps for this move. I mean, again, obviously you'll have some people who are negative on it because people are bound to be negative and stupid, but good on the Washington Capitals here.
Brashear. They had Brashear for a long time, and that was at a time when, the Enforcer was still in. He was one of those big names that, I like, the thing I like, it's permanent. We need more of this. It needs to be permanent. It's not just for a fucking month, yo. Like, Black people exist all 12 months out of the year, and they've done great things in all 12 months. You're welcome, Endo. I'm glad I could validate you with my whiteness over here.
That's not what it meant.
I know. I'm
I love it. Keep it coming, baby.
Yeah, no, this is big. This is what needs to happen. If here's my thing: if you don't want to see a Black History Month, then teach it all 12 months.
Bam! Right.
Fix the history books, because oh boy, if you don't, there's a lot that's not in there, motherfuckers.
Oh yeah, there's a lot.
Sin just with the heavy hits here. I love it.
That's like.
Again, I brought up the Caps because if the season were to end today off a points percentage, they would play the Florida Panthers. Panthers win that series.
Yes, they have to.
And then the Lightning would play the Maple Leafs. I think the silence speaks volumes.
I didn't want to say anything. Oh, man.
I think the silence speaks volumes.
I was going to cause property damage, but I figured, you know what? Like,
at least it's not reality right now. This playoff format sucks.
Look at my hat.
Again, these are two teams that would likely finish with over 100 points on the season, having to meet in round one. Playoff format is trash.
Yeah,
absolute trash.
Yeah, I still don't know. I mean, I understand their reasoning for why they fixed it, but it doesn't make sense now in practice. In theory, it sounded good. I'm not gonna lie. When they first mentioned it, I'm like, oh, cool, yeah, more rivalries. You get to see those rivalries, but it's also like you're also trying to force the issue on them. Let them meet up when the stakes are higher. Why do they got to meet up in the first round to be a rivalry, right? Like, let them meet up when the stakes are even higher.
if essentially it avoids any naturally like developed rivalries like Leafs and Islanders. Or again, like 5 years ago when it was like, you had Matt Martin, I think, or maybe it was even David Clarkson getting under the skin of the Canucks, and there was a big thing between them. Obviously, they can't meet in the finals or until the finals, but probably can't meet in the finals either. It's just that thing of like these naturally developed rivalries that happen throughout the course of a season, and you're just not likely to see it in the playoffs because of this format. So, in terms of this, obviously, I think You'd go with the Lightning just off of their experience, but that's not to say that the Leafs would get blown out of the water in this series. But at the same time, I think we've seen from Leafs fans and their assessment of this season that we've seen certain issues sneaking into their game. Maybe Tampa has those same issues. They just don't get talked about as much because they've won.
Yeah, and because they're not, in a major hockey market, and they're not the go-to for Sportsnet when they want ratings or for TSN. It's literally in Toronto, but I want to say the Leafs because I want to see them pass the first round. I think it'd be great, but they got a lot to fucking figure out. Like, and it really has to do with, I think, team mentality, and they're kind of stuck in a rut like that because they almost are stuck in this, like, not a loser's mentality, but they've lost so much. They don't even know what winning is like. Well, like, what does it take to win? They don't really know. They've tried everything. They've brought in people who know a little bit. But I will say, it's not the same Tampa team as the previous 2 years. And that's your sliver of hope. If that comes to pass, which it might.
For the non-playoff teams, really quickly, I want to mention it's Detroit and the New York Islanders that are the closest, but still pretty far out. For the Islanders as well, I wanted to mention Zdeno Chara declined an invitation to the All-Star game to take part in the hardest shot competition. Which is kind of disappointing, but I don't blame him at the same time. He also now, I believe, becomes the oldest pro athlete in North America, now that Tom Brady has retired. And speaking of the skills comp, the NHL has revealed 2 outdoor competitions for the for Vegas. The NHL Fountain Face-Off, which will take place at the Bellagio Fountains, and the Las Vegas NHL 21 in 22, which will shut down part of Las Vegas Boulevard, which is essentially them playing blackjack by shooting the puck at a board.
I think the best.
I like that they're embracing the Vegas theme, personally.
I think the best part about it, though, is if you win, you're called like what is it, shark pick or whatever. I'm like, is that a shot of the Vanderkane?
Shark
First
pick?
time, if you win the blackjack, you're called like the shark pick or whatever.
Huh? I don't know. I don't know too many gambling terms. I've never gambled in my life.
2022.
There you go.
For good reason.
So how are they going to do it if they're at the fountains? It's not going to be on ice?
No, they're going to be outdoors, probably like
Just
fake ice.
Oh, there you go.
Probably fake ice on the ground to at least be able to shoot the puck properly.
Yeah, I was we have all that shit. Why didn't they do that in Tahoe?
Synthetic is the word I'm looking for.
God, I hate synthetic ice. Don't even get me started on synthetic.
Oh, is it bad?
Okay, I won't.
No, so like as a goalie,
here we go.
It's the worst thing to slide on because it's not real ice.
It's as a goaltender.
You can't mimic the exact feeling and sliding motions on that, and which is why I got into a big rant about EA NHL, really quickly AHL, and how their mapping stuff is done on synthetic ice. So that's where the goalies feel like shit. End of story.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Short and concise. Appreciate that.
Also want to shout out, because we're not doing our day-by-day here. Did you guys see that goal from the Blue Jackets intermission from one of the junior Jackets? He did the Wallstrom move where he's skating towards the goalie, picks up the puck, and does the spin around to dump it in.
Mm-hmm.
No.
If you haven't seen that highlight, check it out. The Philadelphia Flyers finally won after losing 13 in a row. Good job, boys.
Who'd they beat?
Way to go. I don't care.
I kind of care just because I want to laugh at them.
All right, let's see. I completely forget who the hell they beat. I'll look this up. And also, for the Montreal Canadiens, just a couple of quick things here. Shout out to Zach Kassian when they played the Oilers. He ran into their goaltender, and the Habs did fucking nothing because that team has completely quit. Like, they are in autopilot for the rest of the season. It was the LA Kings in overtime, by the way, so there you go, so even better for the Flyers. And now you have fans going after Jeff Petry's wife on Instagram.
Excuse me?
Because Jeff Petry's requested a trade and is half-assing it at this point of the season. And
toxic as... Dude, I hate people who go after family, man. That fucking pisses me off.
Yeah.
To no end. No end.
Nick Suzuki is the only Habs player to play in every single game this year, 43 out of 43. That is how injured and roughed up they've been. Just a brutal, brutal season for the Habs. Absolutely awful. The Western Conference, to run through this really quickly too, if the season were to end today, the Avalanche would play the Calgary Flames in the first round. The Avs finished January with a record of 15-0-1, tying the NHL record for most points in a month with 31 points. Meanwhile, for the Flames, Markstrom shut out the Canucks for his 7th shutout of the season. Colorado wins this series, though.
Yeah. Probably.
That would be.
But I like that
epic
Markstrom
collapse.
shut out the Canucks. That's great.
That he did. The Nashville Predators would play the Minnesota Wild. For Minnesota, they just re-signed Jordan Greenway. I think it's 3x3. I mean, he is on a line that I don't believe still to this day have allowed a goal against this season when they've been on the ice.
Wow. Like 5-on-5? That's impressive.
If I'm not mistaken, he is a part of that particular line. And Wild fans, if I got that incorrect,
It's going to
I
be
am
a
wrong.
gritty-ass series.
The line, I don't think Duhaime's been there all season, but right now he's on a line with Eriksson Ek and Duhaime. So maybe that is the case. Nashville versus Minnesota, though, that's a tough one to pick.
Yeah.
I'd say Minnesota's the better team, but UC Saros
I know,
is the
that's
Nashville effect,
yeah.
you know?
That's
My
exactly the thing.
A short king.
I would go with Minnesota because Nashville, at least a couple of years ago, if not 5 years ago now, got the taste of playoff success that Minnesota still really hasn't had now in almost 20 years since they upset Patrick Waugh and the Avalanche way back when.
Yeah.
So I'd go with Minnesota in that series.
They do have Kaprizov, but he's kind of, I don't know, I wouldn't say falling out of favor.
He's
but
crushing it stat-wise.
Yeah, I
He's
know.
actually
It's
up
just
there. He bounced back.
no one's talking about him anymore. It's so crazy
That's
how
true.
quickly the narrative can shift in the NHL. And that, going back to what the hell homeboy Alex Daigle asked earlier, that's also why you think they're not doing so good, because people aren't talking about them all crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The Vegas Golden Knights would play the St. Louis Blues. For Vegas as well, they just re-signed Braden McNabb, Leafs legend Michael Amadio, and goalie Logan Thompson.
Can they
who's crushing
both
it in the
lose,
AHL.
please? Because if they both lose, everyone else wins. It's great.
Well, here's the problem. Vegas wins this series because Jack Eichel will be ready.
Right.
Oh, yeah, that's right,
I
yeah.
forgot about Jack
Fucking hell.
Eichel because no one's talking
So
about
Vegas totally wins
Cap
that.
circumvention.
him. There you
It's
go.
true.
Beautiful.
And then, if the season were to end today, Anaheim would play Los Angeles. Who the hell saw that coming
That's
for the
rad.
Pacific Division?
That's fucking rad. I would love that series just to watch. It's like watching two of your enemies beat each other to death.
I do think the Kings would win it.
Yeah, they're more complete team than Anaheim.
Yeah.
The Anaheim doesn't have
Anaheim has-
Gibson. They don't have Gibson.
It's true. They're very closely matched, in my
Yeah.
opinion. I would go with LA personally,
Yeah.
but that
By-
would be really fun to watch.
Byfield is going to prove that he's a playoff player because, in my opinion, he's like, in the way the playoffs are played, he's going to be such a sick playoff performer. Then you also have Kopitar and you have other guys who have been there, won it, and are still really good. Doughty would probably be back by then. Is he back already? I don't know.
Yeah,
It's Drew Doughty. I try to avoid thinking about that man as much as possible.
And then for the teams on the outs, the Oilers, top team on the outs right now. Vander Kane obviously scored his first goal
Deflection
for the team.
didn't count.
Fair enough. Dallas, then Winnipeg, then San Jose, who, by the way, Sin, just played Joe Thornton for the first time in 18 years. Because the Sharks played the Panthers.
But they played the
Wow.
Leafs.
Yeah, but when he was on the Leafs, there was the bubble.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
my god!
That's how fucked. That's
Yeah.
how fucked everything has been for the past year and a half, not 2-3
Uh-huh.
years.
But yeah, we
It's
played more.
so
Yeah,
fucked.
I went to the game when Marlowe came back to the tank for the first time. That was electric. Holy crap! Yeah, holy shit! Yeah, I'm glad they dressed him.
Yeah,
He had been
it was a nice touch. You got that picture with Brent Burns, and
That
It
made
was
my
really
heart
nice.
so happy. And then we lost in overtime, blew like a 2-goal lead because Sharks hockey,
There you go.
baby.
and then the final thing that we forgot to mention on one of the last shows, it kind of broken during one of the other shows. I'm like, yeah, we'll talk about it next time. And then obviously stuff happened. For the Vancouver Canucks, one of the teams on the outs right now, they did hire Patrick Alvin? I don't know, because he's Swedish. I think he's the first. I think he's the first Swedish NHL GM because, of course, the Canucks with the Sedin lineage
Yeah.
hired a Swedish GM. But The word was 47 years old, has already been a pro scout for 20 of those years. 14 years with the Pittsburgh Penguins, a few of them as director of amateur scouting and assistant GM. Knows Jim Rutherford very, very well. And again, people are like, Jim Rutherford, what does he have to do with this again? Reminder that Jim Rutherford is the president of hockey operations for the Vancouver Canucks. That is where he went after leaving the Pittsburgh Penguins. So Jim Rutherford brings in someone that he is very experienced in working with as the GM of the Canucks. Very similar, I think, to what we saw in Montreal, where, of course, they bring in a former player agent that Jeff Gorton's worked with very consistently. So at least for the likes of the Habs and the Canucks, you have these leadership groups that, you know, for the most part, there should be, I don't want to say uniformity, but they should be on the same path. You shouldn't run into those situations that other teams have run into where you have management butting heads on what direction to go. And that is very, very good news for them. They're not going to be a playoff team this year, though. I'm sorry.
Nope. Well, Pacific, but yeah, probably not. They're
probably not. But the future for them with Bruce, things could be looking pretty good.
Good for the Canucks. They've needed to do this for much, much longer. Unfortunately, they let Jim Benning fuck things up just a little bit more with making the trade that he made. I still feel like that was really, really bad, and it hamstrings them for years. But I still don't get it. You trade expiring contracts for a guy who had completely fallen off and had so much term left.
In the form of Oliver Ekman-Larsson, which is how we will end this show by asking you both, how many points does Oliver Ekman-Larsson have this season?
15.
This is a defenseman whose cap hit counts for 726.
I'm being generous.
27. 726 until 2027. Right now, he is listed on their top defense pair with Tyler Myers. Has a full no movement clause, I believe, still at this point. Has a career high in points of 55 back in the 15-16 season, of course, with the Coyotes. How many points does Oliver Ekman-Larsson have?
12.
Endo Mills. 8. Thank you very much, everybody, for listening to the Tougies Take podcast. We do appreciate it. Again, a big shout out to our friends at Manscaped and at Thrive Fantasy. Of course, if you watch on the YouTube side of things, hey, we thank you. Make sure to subscribe. And if you don't watch, hey, subscribe to that channel anyway. And of course, you know, we're everywhere podcasts happen to be. We will be back this Friday with more hockey. Let us know, by the way. Get in touch. I want to know what people's thoughts are on the awards at this point. As again, we are already in February. January 2022 is gone. What the hell? Thank you guys for listening. You can catch Endo on Twitter and on Twitch at Endo Mills. Sin on the YouTube side of things at Sin for the Win Productions. And of course, you can catch Sin and I every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Twitch.tv/sportsgamer.gg covering some top-notch elite level 6s esports for NHL 22. You never know what glitches are going to happen during the broadcast in terms of gameplay as well, so you want to tune in for those reasons, to say the least. Again, we'll see you all this Friday. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you next time.